Good evening, GT Guy 1492, Lucas Jackson. Good to see everybody here. Lakita, Tommy, Kelly, Shoshan of Peace, April, Fran, Bird, everybody coming in here. Welcome, Shellcam. Welcome to the show. And it's about 19 after 11. We're not too late, but this really is the late night show, right? So we're a little bit late. We're like 19 after 11 on the East Coast. And welcome everybody all over the world. Linda, Lynn 948. Everybody coming in here, welcome Infinity Zero, welcome to the show. I was just watched where you gave your blessing for peace. You're welcome, Shoshan. You're welcome, yes. And Bobby B, welcome to the show. Bridget, I think it is. DB, hey Mary, good to see you. Harvey Dent, the Reverend JJ Fred, welcome Reverend. Everybody coming in here. Mary, Dawn, Pin, Jackie, Ann. 113. Watching Encounters, the number one late night UFO spiritual talk show. Busting the Matrix. So we got, hey, Tammy, welcome to the show. Jackie Ann, good evening. Lawrence, Harvey. Hey, Chesno. Chesno's busting the Matrix. And definitely good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, brother. And I just posted another video. This one from China. The video that I showed last night, thank goodness my shows are recorded. The other metallic object that was recorded over in South America, when I thought I had downloaded the recording and saved it, evidently, unfortunately, I was so enthralled with the video that I should have saved it, because that video now is no longer available. It has disappeared. But I got it on recording. I'll put it on my YouTube channel. I haven't got my show from last night on YouTube, but I will. Tonight, I'm going to show a video of another metallic object, not in South America. Guess what? It's going to be in China, near a reservoir in the mountains outside of Beijing. This is another one of these objects, and it is pretty cool. Elvira, good to see you. So, hey, Iva, and everybody coming in here. Welcome, Scubs, USA Shop. Welcome, everybody out there around the world. Tune in, turn on to Encounters. And, of course, the trains are now going by. Acid TV, good to see you, brother. Acid TV, we should bring you up. You've been documenting a lot of stuff, and we should bring you up on here. And the train is coming by. Michelle, good to see you. Chris Down Under. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Gary Haas in Iowa. Marion, Jay, hey, Peggy, good to see you. Tracy, Susan Murray, good to see you. AZ Lightning Survivor, thank you for the heart. I appreciate that very much. We appreciate all of you. And I know many of you are quietly recording. I'm tucked in bed. Everybody's tucked. Well, I got to realize it's 22 after 11. So, yeah. But definitely plan on not being in bed some night, and we'll get you on here. Let me know when you can come on, all right? Because I know you are recording stuff. Let's see. Shapeshifter, Rachel, AZ Lightning, hey, Susan Mary, Spiritual Abstract. Good to see you. So definitely there's stuff going on. There's another video I was looking at. I was kind of like wondering whether to show it or not, out of San Diego. And some people seem to think it's a blimp or something with a big flag or something in the distance near the mountains. I'm up in the air, but then again, so I decided maybe it's not what I think it is. Hey, Whirlwind, good to see you. Jersey for Life, good to see you, sister. Hope you're doing well. Karen, D, let's see here. Airplane bathroom. Hey, Sue Yodels. Hey, Sue, let's see here. Kristen's Crystals. Pop-Tarts, that's an interesting name. You having a bad storm? Well, I hope it gets better. Alan Brew, 58, welcome. And remember to just simply, hey, Sarah, thank you. The only thing we request here is people tap on the screen. We usually like to get by about 1 a.m. 100,000 likes. And that's all we ask for. Never ask for anything else other than that. So, yeah. And we can do it. That means and also please share with people that you think are interested in really getting into the spiritual aspects of the subject. We get into it, and I'm going to get into this thing. We were talking about it tonight. I am, 3 days of darkness. I don't know how we ended up talking about it, but we're having dinner, and with my family. We talked about this thing, the 3 days of darkness, the Hopi prophecy, the space people, what they are presenting, and then of course other areas. But we're going to stick with the more cosmic part of it. Hey, Kimberly, good to see you, sister. So yeah, we've heard a lot about the 3 days of darkness, and there've been people on all kinds of social media talking about this 3 days of darkness. It's been talked about for years, right? Hey, good to see you, sister. They've been talking about it for years. It kind of fascinates me from a different perspective because I think, hey, Linda, good to see you, sister. I think that I'm going to give you my take on the 3 days of darkness. From a cosmic perspective. This is just my take on it. Hey, Timmy, good to see you. I think we all know, if you haven't heard about it, it's basically been a rumor that we would have 3 days of darkness, and this would be the year that we'll have it at some point. From my perspective, what that means is if we do have a 3 days of darkness, it's the transformation of the earth. So my perspective is, and I could be completely out on left field on this, but I'm going to say what I think. I do think in my theory that it means we're going from the old earth in 3 days and then going to whenever the 3 days of darkness is, which again, whether it happens or not, we don't know, right? But if it does happen, I think it's going to be the planet Earth being cleansed and transformed into a new Earth. That is what I think the 3 days of darkness represents. I also think it represents the cleansing of negativity from the planet. That's, again, my theory. And getting rid of all the negativity on the planet, because we do have it. We have it on this. We have negativity on the planet, folks. War is negativity. People against people is negativity. Destroying our environment is negativity. There's so many levels of that, So what I don't believe is that God, which is universal, is going to be angry. From the religious people, God's going to be angry for 3 days and cleanse the earth of all the evil, right? That's the religious definition of that. But again, I'm going into the cosmic understanding. So that's not what's really going to happen. The Hopi talk about in their prophecy of 3 days of people going into the earth and then coming back out in 3 days. That's part of the prophecy. But on the cosmic scale, I'm going to go out there on a limb here and say that again, this is strictly my theory. I do think if we do end up having whatever that is, it's going to be just the complete transformation of the planet. I think it's going to be the transformation of the whole planet. And so I want to discuss that tonight a little bit. And, I think, in the subject, I think that's what it is. For me, it's not a fear-based thing. For me, I think it's completely different than the other theories about what 3 days of darkness are going to be. Now, I've seen commentary. I'm very interested in people's views on this. But from a perspective of enlightenment, I don't think it's going to be a terrible thing. I think it's going to be something where we are going to have the planet being transformed. My feeling is it will be us being protected, and as the earth is being transformed, we'll be in safety. I don't know how that works until I see it, but I think we are safe as a human race. Those here who are here for the positive transformation, we are to be still, right, Kimberly, I believe that too. I think we have to be at peace with ourselves and realize that everything that's happening right now this year, all the sightings and all the things going on, there's a reason for that. There's definitely a reason. It's not just happenstance. People aren't just getting out there last year and this year and even years before that recently and starting to record stuff. There's a reason for it, right? There has to be a reason for everything. Everything happens for a reason. All right, let go that does not serve you. Absolutely correct. So there has to be a reason. If we and that's absolutely correct. Let go of the things that don't serve you, right? Yeah, worldwide cleansing. And I'll say this. I really do believe the world needs to be cleansed of negativity. I don't know what that means in terms of how that happens. I don't have the little book with the futuristic crystal ball of that. But we do need to, we need to clean this world up. It's a real mess. And we need to rid of it of negativity of people that are negative, people that commit violence, people that are verbally abusive, people that build weapons, people that destroy countries and people. We need to, and pollution and all these things that have been done on this planet, we need to remove those energies. There's no way a planet can sustain itself with those negative energies, with the positive energies that are here too. We're here to carry the weight to make a balance. But we need to, at the end of the day, this planet needs to be cleansed of negativity. I really have thought about this a lot. And you can't have a planet with people going around killing people and then the other people are kumbaya, having peace, and there's friction between the two parts of the world. It won't work. It won't exist. It won't last. I don't know if it'll be dark. We were discussing that tonight over dinner. I don't know if it'll be dark or not dark, or, I've never seen it. And I definitely don't have a crystal ball on that. So I'm kind of curious what people's thoughts are on this. I'm kind of curious about where your consciousness is about this. On a cosmic level, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think there's going to be this 3 days of darkness? Or is there going to be something else? We know that the earth is going through massive changes. We know that the earth is fed up with the way we are on the surface world. It's apparent. Mother Earth has had it. Mother Earth is like, okay, you did your thing. You did your nuclear bombs. You polluted the air. You polluted poison in the oceans. You polluted everything. You polluted your minds. And now you expect me to sit here and let you do what you're doing. The Mother Earth is just as enraged in the way we treat her. And I do believe that to be true. If you believe that the earth is a sentient being, the Mother Earth is fed up. The Mother Earth is saying, I've had it with you guys. I've mothered you for all these billions and billions of years. And right now, I'm done. Mother Earth is done. So she's going to shake it up, break it up, and do her thing. All right? That's what she's going to do. Whether we want it to happen or not, we who are here to witness what's happening on our planet are going to be the ones that are ready for it. So, ready or not, here she comes. She's going to do what she's going to do. The universe is going to do what it's going to do. No one's going to stop the universe from doing, hey, Nature's Whisperers. And Nature's Whisperers, who's a friend of the show, yes, 3 days will happen. It's when all souls must face themselves, face our shadows. Yeah, so it's basically facing our worst things about ourselves. I think that's true too. It's to cleanse who we are. I think it's to really cleanse ourselves into a purity of light, which, again, this is just a discussion for entertainment purposes only. And again, it's only my theory of what I, in discussion, talked about tonight. And certainly, it's not to freak people out. I've seen the videos of commentary on this over the last few years. And I just think that before we get to a massive contact, we have to let go of so many things that we've been taught, and that there's a lot to let go of, You think it's going to happen about at the end of June. Well, the end of June's coming pretty quick. And it's possible. Again, I don't know when it's going to happen, so I'll be the first one to say that. But yeah, I'll entertain discussion on this because I think it's a good discussion, and I think it's a very big part of this whole topic. I think it's a really big part of the topic. Hey, John W., it would be amazing. Everything is too precious here to mess up. That's right. And Mother Earth is too precious to mess up. That we're living on the Mother Earth. No, we can't predict it when the frequencies align. And it is about vibrations and about frequencies alignment. So if you want to come up, you got to be over 18 years old. No politics, no religion, no paranormal discussion, no obscenities or cursing, no naked people on the show, no kids on the show, no smoking, no vaping. It's been told 2033. So I'd love to hear people. I'd like to get your theories on this thing of the 3 days of darkness on our planet Earth before the planet's transformed. Because my take on it, and the exact time, that's right, it's not known. My take on it, when the 3 days of darkness happen in a galactic perspective, after it happens, then my theory is we live on a planet of peace. That's my theory. What's your theory? It's been visited many times. Once they put around me to explain what's going on. Let's see what this person has to say. Trick sound. I'm going to bring that person up, I think. Let's see here. Trick sounds. I want to bring you up here as a guest on the show. I want to kind of understand what that comment was. I've been visited many times. Very interesting. Once they put something town around me to explain what's going on. Would you like to come up? I'd like to have you on the show here. I'd like to hear what that story is all about. Much encounters. Oh, let me turn my volume up here. Oh, let's see, this should work. Come on, TikTok. Technically speaking, TikTok, stop spinning and bring the person on. Let's see if this works. We have to wait for the TikTok to stop spinning. Let's see if this works. Good evening.
Hey, can you hear me?
You're on. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, welcome to the show.
First time I've ever been live.
Yeah, I was very interested in your comment. Welcome.
Yeah, many years ago in Hawaii, I've been visited many times throughout my life. My first visitation, I live in Oregon here, and my first experience with UFOs, I was 12 years old on a camping trip around Mount Adams, and big UFO came over top of us and went into the mountain, and I started realizing a lot of things and stuff. But I moved to Hawaii. I was there for 20 years. I found out about the draconian bases around the islands, underneath the oceans, and all that stuff. But I was visited several times there, but by ascended masters also. But one time I was visited by what I call the 12 angels. That's what my girlfriend called them. But during this time, well, let me tell a story a little bit. My girlfriend, it was that time of the month. She was having a bad day, and I decided to go for a walk on the beach. I was in Kihei, Maui. So I walked down to the health food store, got some things, and I was coming back out, and I was walking through the parking lot, and every once in a while I'll get these feelings that come over to me, and I just turned around and stuff, and behind me was 12 kids and some cars and stuff there, and I walked back over and I said, "Hey, there's like kind of beach kids and so I said, "Hey, you guys, I don't know why I came over to say this, but you guys, you need anything or whatever?" And at that moment, kind of everything changed.
Are you still there?
Changed around me and stuff, and we came. You came to tell you on a schedule over 12 different aspects of yourself, and yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Good. You're breaking up a little bit on the audio. I don't know if it's the room you're in or
Are you there?
Okay.
Yeah, I live up on the mountain, and I don't get very good cell reception. I live in the mountains.
Yeah, you sound good now. Yeah, you sound good. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, they visited me, and anyhow, at that moment, everything changed me. I realized they could read my mind. I realized everything. I started, like, I fell into tears of like feeling I wasn't worthy for the experience in a certain sort of way, and then the tears turned into joy, and then we just started talking. They put everybody around me on freeze frame. They just put them on complete on freeze frame. At that moment, I realized, whoa, I kind of stepped over into another dimension, and I started to realize what the planet was going through, where they would have to get to do this thing called ascension and such like that. But there was a point to
Hmm.
where I asked them, "Hey, can you guys come back to my house?" And before I even said anything, um, they said, I mean, they just pointed to the guy that one of the guys that was his driver, and just told me jump in. They said lead the way. They could read my mind. As we were
Really?
pulling out of the parking lot and stuff, I thought left, and he turned left, and then in my mind I said no, I didn't mean to think left, I meant right. And he whipped around in the middle of the road. There's cops sitting on the side there. They couldn't even see us. We started going down the road and stuff. We ended up getting to the house, and my girlfriend at that time was I mean, she's having a bad day, but when we pulled up there, she was all happy and stuff, and she came out and she was just happy, and we went in, and I pulled down all the futons and stuff, made some tea, and we sat and talked for a few hours and such, and just about the things that I was doing. I've had a lot of experiences, and just
Hmm.
recently,
Well,
you
before
know,
you
last
go into the other experience, people are asking, what did they look like? I'm curious. The ones that were like able to read your mind or hear what you said, what did they look like? Can you tell us?
just like us. I mean,
They
yeah, they
looked
were
like
just like
us.
us. Yeah, they were kids though.
They
Um,
were kids.
Yeah, and one way I think that I don't really know. My girlfriend said, I'll explain a little bit more of this story, but for some reason I felt like they were 12 kids from Mount Shasta inside Telos, and they're because they run in packs of 12s, and they had two chaperones, but the chaperones weren't there, and they were kind
Hmm.
of like on a
Hmm.
field trip, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but my nickname
Hmm.
is UFO. I've been visited many times. I just, yeah, things happen and stuff. And when I was up in
Can I
South
bring you on
Dakota,
camera? Can I bring you on the camera? Are you able to
I
come
don't
on
really
camera?
want to show my face on.
All right.
I mean,
I'll honor that.
yeah,
At some time
yeah.
in the future, you come back on.
I've had
Yeah.
quite the wild and crazy life and stuff. I figured out a lot of things, but just recently, my mom told me that after I told her the story about everything and stuff, I have a book that I wrote about pretty much saving this planet about 23
Hmm.
years ago. But she said,
Really?
wow, that's pretty amazing because before you were born, two angels came to me and they told me to name you David, and I'm like, whoa, wow. So,
Hmm.
but back to the story and stuff. We were sitting around in the
Yeah.
living room. We were all talking and stuff. I had long hair. One of the girls was braiding my hair and stuff. We had a good conversation, but I wanted to have get a little breath of fresh air, and I walked outside. And at that moment, there was two others standing there. The ones that visited that I was talking to, I would say they were in their 20s or something like that, around that
Hmm.
age.
Hmm.
But there was two others standing, and they were about my age. And I offered them up on the porch. To the right of me, with the sliding glass door, I sit on the bench on the left-hand side of it. They sat on the bench on the right-hand side of it, um, and the steps were in between them and the sliding glass door. And at that moment, they said, "David, this world's here for you." And at that moment, I looked in, and the 12 were inside of the house. My girlfriend was walking across the living room. She got put on freeze frame in the middle of the living room, and I just went, "Oh wow."
Hmm.
And I turned back to him, and they said this. They said, "David, we came to tell you you're on the right track, way ahead of schedule, and the world is waiting. We came to tell you the ego runs rampant on this planet, and you might not be heard this life, just like your brother Jesus." Later on, I found
Hmm.
out that about the 144,000 that came from Venus with
Hmm.
Sana Kumara millions of years ago. Jesus
Hmm.
is one of them. Tesla is from Venus. I'm from Venus.
Hmm.
But the original 144,000 came from Venus. And Jesus, he incarnated in that area because it was one of the one of the
The lower vibrational
yeah,
places, or
yeah, he
okay.
was also King David in the life before that, but he got caught up in girls and he didn't do his ascension that life. So he came back and he made his ascension that life. He resurrected. Well, he got hung up. He resurrected his body with the help of Archangel Gabriel. They rolled the rock away. He spent his time with the disciples and stuff, like he's here in the books. They took over an old granary and remodeled it. Um, and Mother Mary is she's an Archaea angel. She's the Archaea angel to Archangel Raphael, and it was a big mission and stuff. His father Joseph, which is Saint Germain now and stuff, and he was also Merlin, and
Hmm.
he Francis Bacon, and he wrote I can't even remember
Yeah.
Shakespeare's
You know,
plays and stuff. But anyhow,
yeah. Someone's
uh,
asking you. Someone's asking you. I don't interrupt you, but like everyone's really loving the interview. John W. is asking you, what were your feelings when you were around the beings? On my
well,
viewers.
I mean, I've been around him. I've been visited by. I mean, I had Ascended Master visit me one time, and I got the whole town of Makawao, Hawaii, put on freeze frame. Also, I could tell that
Hmm.
story. Also, I got a bunch of stories, but
Well, I love it,
Woody
and you
Harrelson,
can tell all the
Woody
stories. Well.
Harrelson, and
Yeah,
many
yeah.
different guys like people like that call me the most interesting guy on the planet. But I've always kind of lived in the mountains. I lived in the mountains in Hawaii for a long time, kind of hide from people, just because I woke
So
up in a
people like
mountain.
Woody Harrelson, who I respect, he has met you. Have you met him?
I used to be Woody Harrelson's carpenter.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
he lives in he's got a house in Kipahulu, backside of Maui. But I used to be Woody Harrelson's carpenter and stuff, and it's not as joyful as everybody thinks. There's a lot of crazy stuff
Yeah,
that goes
really.
on with that. I ended up walking out of
and
there.
and also, and what about the freeze frame? I'm interested what that means. Can you translate that for us when you say they were in freeze frame? What is that for the little viewers who are watching
Yeah, I
this?
mean, they act. This is a simulation. It's a God simulation. There's an organic simulation and inorganic simulation kind of thing with the AI and stuff. That's not natural.
Hmm.
And AI can never AI calls me the most interesting guy on the planet. Also, so, but I yeah, the freeze frame thing. It took me a while. It always takes me a while to figure things out and stuff, and I don't really, it's like almost like I stepped into a higher dimension in a certain sort of way. I
Hmm.
mean, everything. They put the people on freeze frame. My girlfriend was in the middle of the living room on freeze frame,
Hmm.
but the two that stepped on the porch, excuse me, the two that stepped up on the porch, it was just a very brief experience. They said what they needed to say, and then they said, David, we need to go. And they stood up.
Hmm.
And as soon as they stepped off the porch, they vanished into a ball of white light. I turned
Oh
back into the
wow.
living room. I turned back into the living room, and the 12 were still sitting around. My girlfriend was still standing there in freeze frame in the middle of the living room. Then she started walking across the living room like nothing ever happened. And things went on and stuff. And I had a bunch of
Hmm.
musical instruments at the time, and they were. She was going to bed. It was kind of getting a little later, and I told them it's amazing how I got these instruments back. But I asked them,
Hmm.
"You guys want
Hmm.
to take some instruments with you and stuff?" So they took djembes, didgeridoos, and all this stuff with them.
Oh wow.
And I just expected to leave it and go, kind of thing. The next morning we woke up. She says, "Wow, I can't believe you pulled in 12 angels." And I said, "Did you see the other two?" And she says, "No." I said, "Well, two others showed up and put you on freeze frame in the middle of the living room." And I said,
Yeah.
"Well, I wish I could. I wish I could do that sometimes." But
So
anyhow, so
freeze frame is like being it stops you in time where you are, correct?
yeah, yeah, there was a movie or something with Jim Carrey and stuff. When I watched it, I'm like, whoa, he pushes that little thing. Or I don't remember who it was, Jim Carrey or somebody.
Hmm.
They pushed the little
Yeah.
thing, and everybody goes freeze frame. But that's pretty
Hmm.
much what happened. My other experience where I had, well, just after that, I was visited by what I call the silver suited beings, and
Hmm.
I've had a lot of kind of Venus experiences, flashes from Venus, and all kinds of things before I even knew what Venus was, and then I found out what it was, and then found out my mom tells me she's from Venus, and then I found out Jesus is Venus, and Tesla is from Venus, and Tesla is working with the Guardians and stuff, trying to bring technologies and stuff back to the planet and such, and but while after that, probably a couple months later and stuff, I ended up moving out of the house, and I was working for a guy that had a buddy that had a bigger house, and I was kind of taking the basement of it. And one day was I was at work. I just was feeling a little funny. I decided to go home, and I went home. I laid down in bed, and I just felt these waves coming over me, like you throw a pebble in a bucket, the waves going in and out, and they kept simultaneously in and out, north, south, east, west, in and out. I I found out it was the heart. It's the standing wave resonance of the heart frequency. The heart, it
Hmm.
goes out, it hits our aura, and it comes back. So our thoughts and everything that we think, they go out, they hit our aura, and they come back. And this is one of the reasons, like Noah and stuff. Noah was the last island of Poseidon that sunk after Atlantis and such like that. But uh,
Hmm.
but uh, what was I just talking about? Lots of story. Oh,
Lots of
I'll just
stuff. So
finish
let
the
me ask
thing.
you a
So
question.
I came back to the house or whatever. I laid down in bed. I still felt this feeling coming over me, and it felt. I call it the massage from the universe, and
Hmm.
I just started relaxing into it. I started levitating off my bed and stuff, and I just was like in ecstasy. And I started coming back down in my bed. It started mellowing out. I opened my eyes, and at the end of my bed was standing a man and a woman dressed in these silver suited, shiny, sparkly, kind of starry silver suits. I don't know what to call them, but they were
Well,
like
but
standing
it,
next.
it sounds like space suits. They were wearing like space outfits.
Yeah, it's almost like they're time traveling suits, or they can travel with them, or something. I don't
Hmm.
really know. There's a lot of things I'm still trying to figure out with little different
Hmm.
things like that. I probably explain. I haven't talked to anybody about this for probably a
Oh
good
wow.
12
Well,
years
I'm
or
glad
something.
you're
I don't
here.
talk.
This is the place. This is a safe place to do it.
Yeah,
I
so
have the feeling though that you've been also physically you've been physically off planet. Am I correct?
yeah, well, there was a time in our dream time. It's dream time's connected in the 4D, the astral planes and stuff. There's fallen beings in the astral planes. We used to be in 5D before Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, you couldn't see them because they were in 5D. So after the fall of man, we got knocked down into 3D, into the animal kingdom kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I used to go. Gosh, when I was 19 years old, I mean, I dropped out of school at 9 years old. I started telling everybody to F off. I don't believe anything you're saying. It's all a lie. I was already having dreams and seeing things happening in the future and different things. But by the time I was 18 years old or so, I started inventing free energy machines and stuff like Tesla. And I invented a geodesic aquatic city that ran off free energy. And I wanted to
So let me
travel
slow you
around the
down. You
world.
have so many different things that you're bringing up here that I'm fascinated by. So, how old are you when you developed some Tesla energy devices? I'm very interested because you're saying a lot of interesting things. I'm going to try to pull each one of them out here. Um, so
Yeah. Well,
when did you do
at that,
that?
my first devices and stuff weren't really so much as Tesla. Then I started learning about the ambient energies and stuff like Tesla. But the first device that I made was it was a magnetic device and stuff based off the teeter-totter theory. It was a 12-spoked device that had two magnetic rails on the outside of it and such, but it's based off the teeter-totter theory. If you have 150 pounds on one side and 150 pounds on the other side, you move one side in, one side's going to drop. So through electronic and magnetic kind of thing, I invented a machine that I could bring that one side in, several inches. In the model that I built, they're supposed to be bigger, but so I built the model and stuff, and so that was just the first of the free energy kind of experiences. But I ended up meeting the billionaires, millionaires, and stuff. They were going to supply me with all the money that I needed, but they wanted 65% of everything that I made. And I wanted to take these machines and put them into the Indian reservations and use the money to help rebuild the educational system and save the planet. It was a big mission I was on,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so. But I started meeting the millionaires and stuff, and I started getting death threats and such like that. So
Hmm.
when I was at one of the big fancy golf courses in Maui, and sitting at a big table, and they slid the contract over to me to sign it, and I slid it back to him. I just stood up and I walked out. I never saw him again. But
Hmm.
I was having people saying, "Oh, I need some money right now. I'll kill you for $5,000." And I was like, whoa, these guys, I mean, these guys have all of them. They were going to supply me with everything. Me and my mom worked for a long time, creating a $3 trillion budget to rebuild the whole USA and everything. But they wanted all my
Hmm.
ideas. I had a whole housing um, thing. I mean, I thought that by now we'd be all flying around in UFO houses and everything. So, but anyhow, none of that worked. I ended up going and hiding in Ulapalakua for a couple of years. Stayed really low key, and I came back out. But um, yeah, but now I mean, I'm much more aware of the Tesla technologies and how
Yeah.
the ambient energies of everything works and stuff. But I'm not really
Hmm.
so much into that. And I mean, I wrote 9 books, but I can't sell any, and
Wait a
so
minute. So you wait a minute.
yeah.
You've written. Let me slow you down because being a talk show host, I have a lot of questions coming through my consciousness. You're a great guest. So you've written 9 books. Are they any of them available for people to read?
Uh, I don't really want to say them out loud, but I have a website that I am remodeling. I got 3 websites and I'm remodeling. I'm
Okay.
getting ready to bring out EMF blankets, grounding EMF blankets, and explain
Interesting.
what that's all about and why we want to use those. They're not like the EM blanket and earthing blankets that are out right now, but I do have a website. I do have books on it, but I don't really know if I want to say because I'm in the middle of remodeling everything and I
Well,
want to kind of get it done.
wait till you when you have it completed and when we have you back on. You'd rather
Yeah.
it's best to do something. When you're in the middle of creating something, you want to finish the creation. It's like growing a vegetable. You want it to, and the completion of the vegetable to be able to manifest itself. So what you're doing is, I honor that. I would just wait till you have it done. I'm good
Yeah,
with that too. I think.
I wrote my first book in 2002 when I came back from Hawaii. It was called Awakening Earthbound Angels, and then I wasn't selling it, so I changed it to Miracles in Believing
Hmm.
because and such like that. But I couldn't sell any, and yeah. So I have been
Mm.
trying every other way on this planet to try to get some information out to people, and it has been the most difficult thing. I mean, it's this
And it
planet
seems to
is.
me though, your energy is so great. I get the feeling have been you've connected with the angels, of course. Now the angels, they physically came to you, correct?
Well, angel
That's what it
means a
sounds
being
like.
of truth. Angel
Yeah.
means a being of truth, and like legal means undoing God's laws. So
Hmm.
the judicial systems and the governments, and
Hmm.
they're doing their best to undo God's laws. And like Jesus said, the Prince of Darkness runs this planet, and he wasn't joking. I've been visited by Jesus many times. I teach people how to meet them in their dreams if they want to, and there's a lot of different things and stuff I teach for people how to wake up in your dreams, how to travel the tubes of light and go to other dimensions. And that's what I
Hmm.
started doing around, well, I started kind of doing that around 20 years old. But when I got to Hawaii and I started, it was about 20. Yeah, I started traveling in the tube of light. People say they die and they travel through the tube of light, but I would start traveling through the tube of light. I call it awakening in a kind of universal consciousness. Uh, but yeah, so I was able to go, and there was this time I went to the experiment. I got some really long stories, and they are in my books and stuff like that. But I started to be
Hmm.
able to wake up on the other side, be totally conscious of the other side. I started being taken with guides to different planets, different, just experiencing so
Hmm.
much I couldn't explain here. But the thing is that people think they're just living in 3D, but they're not. They're living in it's 144,000 multidimensional universe, and all of these dimensions are around us at every time. But humans are kind of got stuck in the 3D, and
Yeah, yeah.
so um, oh gosh,
And tell
it's
me,
a it's a
as and I'm going to ask you a few questions. I got a lot of questions. So tell
yeah.
me, yeah, I'm going to go for it, man. So tell me, everyone you're watching Encounters, please also, as we are in this interview, we're at 26.6. Everybody tap on my screen. When you tap on the screen on the top right, those numbers will go up. We want to get up to 100,000 by 1 a.m. We're on here till 1 a.m. on the here at 1:30 in the morning. So welcome everybody to our show and my special guest here tonight that I zapped up from the audience because I read their comment and I knew they would be interesting. Tell us about your journeys. So, for example, do you go off planet in a cosmic dream state, what I call the cosmic dream state, and I've talked about before? That is also a reality where you leave your physical room and you go in a Merkaba state to wherever you go in the universe. And how many types of space beings have you met? I got a lot of questions here, and take one at a time. And have you had ships come over the mountains where you live? The like ships of light.
Oh yeah, yeah. For years, I had lots of. At one time, I had a my sister. This is a good story and stuff for non-believers and stuff. My sister was a big non-believer, and she'd always say, "Well, if there's UFOs, why don't we hear about it on the news?" And I'm trying to tell you, sister, that they own the news, they own everything. But I was in Hawaii. I came back for a while. At that time, she's living in Bend, Oregon, Redmond, and
Mm-hmm.
I was staying there. And every night that I went out, I'd look up and there would be a huge UFO. It looked like a huge, if you put your hand up, I would say that it would be like 10 times the size of your hand if you stretched your arm out and looked up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't tell how far. It looked very close, like, a football
Mm-hmm.
field away. But every time I'd look up, it would just go woof and disappear. It looked like a big white crystal ball in the
Mm-hmm.
sky. But every night I was going out, it would do that. And at that moment and stuff, I was trying to do a new music album. So I put an ad on Craigslist looking for a studio, do some work trade maybe, and do this album. I found a guy. So I went out to Sun River and I was helping him do some work. And that night we were sitting out on the deck and all of a sudden he just jumps up out of his seat freaking out. UFO, UFO, I've never seen a UFO. He's just freaking. I never even turned around and looked at it. I just kind of stood up with him. I put my hands on my shoulder and on his shoulders. And I said, calm down, man. It's okay. That thing's been following me around. And every time I look at it, it disappears. And at that moment I turned
Mm-hmm.
around and I looked at it. It just went woof and it disappeared. And he freaked a load and tried to kick me out of there and stuff. I ended up staying. But the next morning I woke up and stuff. I was inside talking with him and my sister calls me and she's like, hey, right now there's a UFO over. Oh, I got to kind of fill in a little bit. At this time, she's working for KOHD News in Bend, Oregon. And
Mm-hmm.
she's advertising director for them. And she calls, hey, my son, uh, she's the non-believer. Hey, my producer's filming it. He's been filming a UFO for the last 20 minutes over Sun River. It's above me now and he's filming it. And he just happens. This is like big, huge coincidence, kind of to bring my family together a little bit. But anyhow, so that happened. They had the film, they had everything, and they told them, "No, you're not going to run that on the news, and if you do, we're gonna da 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 da." So she had the footage and all that kind of stuff for years on her. Yeah, but this is a long time ago. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
20
Now, do you
years
think
ago.
that you've had the visitations of these ships, and for the many years I've been involved in this discussion and in the subject of what we call spiritual UFO discussion, not UFO discussion, but I always premise my discussions here on a spiritual basis. I don't care about the nuts and the bolts of the whole thing. Um, do you feel that when these ships come and follow you wherever they're following you, that the beings on the ship or the space people on the ship, that you have a connection to that specific group? Do you know who they are? Or do you just, when you see the ships, do you feel like, I always talk to people about energy. So I for years said, if you feel positive energy from the ship that you're seeing in front of your a cabin or something, and it's you're seeing it multiple times, and you feel really good about it, normally that means that there's good energy and probably good beings on that ship. Do you have a sense of feeling? I would imagine, I can't assume this, that you know, like when these ships are around, that they're your like kind of space connection.
Um, well, I can say, I can say, excuse me, I can say that there's good and there's bad. I've only really had most of my experiences with the good ones, except
Yeah.
for when they're following me or watching me or something. I was waking a lot of people up in Hawaii. I was starting a retreat center and such, and there's two draconian bases outside of Kauai. Kauai was the last island to be taken
Hmm.
over by King Kamehameha, and so there's two draconian bases underneath the oceans there and stuff. But there was one time when this was happening, and they started coming over my telephone and telling me that I had no right waking these people up, that they owned them and such. And the first time it scared the daylight.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
sent these chills through. They sound, you have no right. It's very, it
Right.
scared the shit out of me the first time. It just didn't.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, they're scared of me. That's why they're threatening me. So
Yeah, they
the
were
fear
scared of
went
you, right?
away, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I started to realize how they control people's minds and stuff, and I was going through a lot. Um, so I ended up kind of getting chased off the islands, and people
Wait a
were
minute, you
thinking
want to
I'm
say that you
nuts.
got chased off the islands? How did you get chased off the islands?
But, well, they work for the astral planes and they control people's minds so they can make people do whatever they want to do. I'd be driving down the
Oh,
road,
the
and
reptilians do this, correct?
yeah, they would, bums or
Okay.
alcoholics on the streets. They would throw people right out in front of my car, cats, dogs, whatever they could get in front of me to try to
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
detour me, and just all kinds of things were happening. It there's 144 levels of consciousness. Most of
Hmm.
humanity right now is at the 48th level of consciousness below. Once we get to the 148 4 level of consciousness, like Jesus did, Christ means universal consciousness. So Jesus was tapping into the universal consciousness, the God energy that lives in his heart, that beats our hearts. Um, so he made it to the 144 level of consciousness that life, and he did his ascension. I was going to talk a little bit more about Jesus and his life story. And Mother Mary started teaching him about, don't um, put your concerns and stuff towards the fragmentations of the world, distortions of the world. She started teaching this at 3 years old, and then he went off to
Yeah.
the Essenes. Him and John
Well,
and James got
you,
adopted. James stayed
well, you know that.
behind. John and Jesus went off
Well,
to
you
the
know that.
Essenes. Huh?
I was going to say, as we talk about Jesus on my show here as a very cosmic being of light, and he's more than just what people read about in the old books on Earth. He was actually a
Yeah,
space being, very, very tuned on a very high level. So you're talking to people here that
yeah.
we've talked about this over.
He's from Venus. There's people that think that he's Lucifer, but that's not true. Lucifer was running the
Yeah,
Jews, the Zionists, and stuff, and that's why they hung him up. But everything is a reflection. There's been a mirror program placed on the planet, and they're trying to make it harder so people's karma come back quicker, so they'll start learning quicker. But through that process, Lucifer was working through the Pharisees and stuff to get Jesus hung up, and through that evil, it reflected back at him and it destroyed him. He took the second death. So Lucifer doesn't even exist anymore, except all of his energies and stuff, Satan and all of that stuff still
yeah,
exists. But
and a lot.
Lucifer's,
So I want to say something. I just want to say something. One of the things that I don't. There's certain things I don't believe. They might exist depending on whether you're in that vibrational frequency. But if you're not in that vibrational frequency of that parallel frequency, then it doesn't exist. It only exists for those that live in that frequency.
yeah,
So
well,
if
I mean,
you know what I mean, like if you and I live in the frequency we live in, we're having a beautiful frequency, right? But there could be two other people in another room, totally unaware of us having this frequency, and they are living in that frequency. If I put it in that
yeah,
analogy, you know what I mean?
yeah. And that's like, I mean, that's like me. It's like 9/11. I didn't even know what happened until a week later. I happened to win the lottery for to go in the cabin of Haleakala. So I was
Mm.
in cabin of Haleakala, no anything. And when I came out a week later, it already went and stuff, but I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about it.
You
They
didn't
took
know.
me in, so I didn't have to experience that experience with the mask.
Now, when you say they
Fully.
took you in, can you explain to our audience who they are, just so they understand?
I mean, we have angels, we have guardian angels, we have
That's what I mean.
every,
Angels, who,
yeah,
because when you say
we
they,
have, we
my
have
audience might not know what that means. So the angels took you in, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it was just synchronicities that came up and stuff. One of my friends won the ticket to the Haleakala cabins, but she couldn't go, so she gave me the tickets. So I went, and then 9/11 happened, and yeah,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I get a
So you
drink of
were. It
water
seems
here.
like you. I can tell. Not only are you highly intelligent, which is beautiful. You have had. You work on many multiple frequencies. I don't think you just work on one frequency. Have you always? Am I correct in saying that you're working on many cosmic levels of frequency? Would that be a correct observation?
Well, like I said, there's 144 in each three dimensions. In each dimension, there's four levels to the dimension. So there's
Hmm.
these other three levels in the three dimension that we don't see in the etheric realms. But and so there's 144 levels in every three dimensions. So once we pass and get to the 144 level of consciousness, like Jesus did, we're able to ascend. And Mother Mary did. That's a long story, Jesus' story, and how all that worked and stuff. He was actually on the planet until he was 81 years old. After Mary passed, he did he went back to Giza and did his final ascension from Giza. But when after well, I'll just kind of explain this a little bit. After he was spent the 40 days with the disciples and stuff, Mother Mary used to go up to the top of the hill of Bethany and do her affirmations and all that kind of stuff. She was holding the Immaculate Concept for Jesus. What she had to pass a test. She was given a brief picture of the Immaculate Concept, the perfect of Jesus Christ, and then she had to um, be tormented by the demons of Mara for 3 hours without
Hmm.
losing that concept of Jesus' Immaculate Concept to kind of win the prize to be the woman that came in to birth Jesus. And there was no virgin birth. They did have sex. Joseph was much older than them. Mary had seven
Well,
kids. Jesus ended up having
let
seven
me kind
kids.
of jump in here. Let me kind of jump in here because it's important. This is very interesting. It's causing a lot of discussion, which is good. So if I were to say to you that Jesus definitely, I'm going to give you a cosmic perspective of Jesus as opposed to the parables of the 3D religious world. So from my consciousness, because I also came from off planet and had my conscious connection at when I was a kid. And from my
Yeah.
what I got from my perspective, and we all have different experiences, which is beautiful, is that Jesus not only has a family off planet, but he oversees the galactic forces of light. And this might you might know this already. I don't assume you do or don't, but from my visual perspective, that's the Jesus that I know, which is not the parables of the earth-based things in the books on Earth, but the things that are
Yeah.
not told in the books on Earth. Is that if they would tell the things that about Jesus which were cosmic, he went up when Jesus came out of the tomb, and I've said this story many times. He didn't just come out of this tomb of a rock that moved. People said they saw him walking around the countryside. They said, "Why is he walking?" Then all of a sudden there's this cloud. Then the cloud opens up and he ascends into the cloud. So I decoded that many years ago. Jesus went into a mothership and left the earth. That's my definition from my
Well,
experiences of knowledge is
there's the ship of Mu and stuff that a lot of people came. It's 5,000 miles or 5 miles sitting underneath the Sphinx. But what he did his ascension in front of 500 people. What when they say that you were made in the image of God as below, so above, as below, above, so below. We have a white diamond fire body. It's 13, 14, 15 dimension. That's that part of us that was made in the image of our mother and father, which is the sun and Helios and Vesta. The sun is their aura. And so Jesus, when he did his ascension, what he wanted to start a new movement, and he wanted Mary Magdalene to be the leader of it, but the guys were dickheads, and they didn't want any woman running. Women used to run this planet when they had their heads on their shoulders. The fallen beings killed the mother of Lemuria about along 250,000 years ago, and
Hmm.
that's Lemuria sank, Atlantis sank, the island of Poseidonus was the last one. That's Noah's flood and stuff like that. But when Jesus did his after he did his ascension, the disciples didn't want any, so he put a special dispensation in and run a false kind of, I'm lost of words right now, saying that you know and Mary Magdalene went to France and stuff, but that was just um, uh, a ploy to get people off of whatever. She ended up going to Kashmir. So when you see these things of Saint Isa in Asia and stuff like that, he spent more time, in more of Asia and those kind of teachings and stuff, um, before he came back and tried to wake up the Jews. But he put in a special dispensation. He came back in an ascended master's body. He went to Kashmir. Him and Mary spent the rest of their life. They had 7 kids. They didn't, before he got hung up on the cross, and he did die, and but he resurrected his
So let me
body
ask you,
just
let me
like.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I got to ask you a question as host. So I'm always going to push the buttons here and bust the matrix. So there's a lot of stuff going on with you in terms of all your experience and many different levels of consciousness. So if we go by the parables of the stories about Jesus dying on the cross, if one were to say, let's say that were a truth. Um, but if someone says, let's say that Jesus really never died at all, that Jesus was an ascended master to the point where he does not die, and this is where my perspective comes in from
No,
my
he wasn't.
journey.
He wasn't an ascended master, and he when he was sitting on, before he thought went to the cross and stuff, he was thinking the angels were going to save him, and he's like, well, they didn't. He didn't give up the ghost until he was on that cross, and then he just let it go. And that's the one thing about ascension, is letting this fallen world go. As soon as if you're of this world, you're not of God, they say. But so we need to let all of the illusion of this fallen planet go. The planet's
Okay,
doing its ascent.
then how did Jesus? This is and again, this is just for the sake of discussion. So
Sure.
I do this with everybody, so don't get
Yeah.
offended. So
No, I'm
how
okay.
did Jesus then? If Jesus came out of the tomb and he actually died, how did somebody who died come back from death when he also? This is my perspective on it for many years of research and my own inner reflection meditation. For sake of discussion,
He learned to step out of his breath. He learned to step, so he wasn't really quite in his body. Like when I travel through this tube of light or whatever, there's monks and stuff, they can step out of their body. He was able to step out of his body enough. He was just and he wasn't carrying the cross. All he was doing, he was just carrying the uh sideways piece, or whatever, the horizontal piece, and then they get stuck up, they hang that up on the cross. But he oh, what was I going to say? But anyhow, he was able to, he learned the trick of how to step out of the body. So he wasn't quite in the body when he was carrying that thing, and he came back into the body. I mean, they say in the Bible and stuff, God, how you've forsaken me, but really he said, God, how you've glorified me. But he let go of the ghost. He died. They did all the wrapping up. They put him in the tomb. They put the rock there. He was already outside of the body. He was, as soon as somebody dies, they always say that they're up above their body. They're looking, they go to heaven, blah,
right?
blah, blah. So that's what
But
he was doing.
this is the question. This is the question. So he's outside for say, and this is for sake of discussion. If he's outside of his body in this tomb, how does? And again, this is every my audience has different things here. How did the tomb, the rock, open up and he walk out of it physically in a physical body
Archangel
when his
Archangel
body?
Gabriel moved. Archangel Gabriel moved that tune. Moses and stuff. When they say the burning bush, it wasn't a burning bush. It was Archangel Gabriel. He was the one that gave the 10 Commandments. Archangel Gabriel was the one that tried to give the stuff to Muhammad. These are fallen races of
Hmm.
beings. These are like the worst of
Hmm.
the. I mean, they're eating
Hmm.
children, they're sacrificing animals and kids, and they're doing all kinds of things. But
Isn't all that stuff related to the biblical interpretations of our Earth?
as
Or am I
in,
incorrect about that?
what
Well,
do you
because
mean?
some of the stuff I've heard before, I studied. We try to stay away from religion, but I've studied these things over the years, and so I know there's a lot of things
Religion
that
separates, spirituality unites. Religion is all fallen. The Jews changed all the books. They took all the books out. They took Enoch, lost books of Thomas. Jesus had more women disciples than he had men. You know, the women went to with
right,
them to Kashmir. The Thunder Perfect Mind, the women's books. They took
right,
all those books out. They changed all. They rewritten it so they would own humanity. That's the real truth.
right.
The Bible.
So
Jesus calls the Bible a dead book because it is a
So
dead
let
book.
me ask you a question as host here. Let me ask you a question, and I do concur with my viewers here. So we get a lot into space beings, not so much into what happened religiously on planet Earth, which is one of the things I kind of stay away from. I love everybody,
Well,
and I
that's
still
a planet.
I try,
Religion is a planet Earth thing. The space beings have nothing to do with
right,
humans. They're sitting out. It's
right.
a parking lot out there. They're sitting and watching
But
and
I
laughing at
don't
humans.
I've never met space beings in my telepathic communications that ever talk about this. They talk about things regarding the transformation of our planet, enlightenment, and you've had your
Well,
experience with some of these space beings yourself, the
a lot of
angels.
people and stuff that are having these experiences of channelings and stuff. They're channeling the false beings through the astral planes, Yeshua's and Toth stole the CD plates from Atlantis, and then he went to Egypt. They took everybody went crazy. That's the whole thing. The Martians came to town. They destroyed Atlantis, and they were trying to do a bunch of things. But they took the Mother Moo ship and they lifted it. They picked the people up from Atlantis. They took it to back. This is where they started books again. They took it back to Egypt, dropped them off, um, and
Yeah, but we're
Toth
talking
stole
about
the.
things that potentially happened again. We weren't alive then. That things that men and women and people that wrote books in their time period wrote about things based on their time frequency. But from this time frequency, I guess from a cosmic consciousness, and I operate also in Christ consciousness, that things are way different than it seems. Things are
Yeah,
not
well,
exactly
Jesus, since he's ascended, now he's the cosmic Christ of this universe. He's big. I mean, he's the cosmic Christ. It's uncountable universes. He's the cosmic Christ of this universe now. He's still here. He hasn't went anywhere. His the second coming is a personal experience for anybody that wakes up for him. I've been visited by him many times. It's really all super simple. He's in the 5D. They don't come down in this dense fallen 3D very often. But
yeah.
and most of my visitations are right before I wake up in the morning. They give me the
Mm.
information I need. It's like when I was doing free energy machines and stuff, I was like, what kind of coil do I need or whatever? I was asking this question. I asked the question before I go to bed. So right before
Yeah.
I get up and stuff, I'm in this big hangar with UFOs and everything. This guy runs up to me and he says, David, this is the coil you need. I wake up, I draw it down on this side, and I teach people how to do this. It's very
So
easy.
let
It's
me ask you a
very
question.
simple.
You got so many different things going here. So let me. So you were in a hangar with UFOs. Let's go into that part of your life. When did that happen, and where were these hangars with UFOs? Can you tell us that? You got so many things I'm trying to pick up on here.
Those are in 4D and such like that. People think that you can't go through this firmament. I mean, they put the ring pass knot around the planet back in the day, and I just got to tell. I know I'm jumping around here, but back in the day, the fallen
Yeah,
beings
I'll
and
catch
stuff,
you.
they would capture the angels when they came through the stargates, and they would scrape the monatomic gold off their skins. They would eat it. It would raise their vibration quick enough, and they would jump through the stargates and create havoc. So the prison planet thing, they had to shut down all the stargates on the planet. Now the stargates are opening up back up. The Iraq War was about the Stargate in Yemen opening up. That's why they went and did that. It wasn't really nothing about oil, though. It was to take oil and the road and the canal they want to put through. And that why they're trying Israel and stuff is trying to doing everything they're doing to Palestine so they can have that road through there. Why they're fighting with Iran right now and stuff. But the Iraq War was more about the Stargates. They were more interested in what was in the museums and the literature in the museums and they
Right. So let
cleaned
me
all
stop you. Let me
those.
stop you. Let me slow you down. I'm going to slow you down. So we know I've read history about the stargates in the Middle East, including places like Iraq, that the reason why they were going in there was to get to the stargates. That is something I do understand. So I do believe that's correct in what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
so they've
you're
they've
saying so
they're
many things.
opening
I
the
have to
they
jump in here and yeah.
yeah. So in 2012 they started, and before is when the stargates and stuff open up, but they've created false black hole systems too, and hoping that they
Hmm.
get tricked and they go through those false into those false systems and they can they get caught. But so yeah, right now everything, the big thing and stuff is to have control of the stargates and stuff. I mean, back in the day, Atlantis and Lemuria were having nuclear wars and stuff. I mean, when Lemuria Mu went down in the Pacific. I mean, the Rocky Mountain is Great Divide, so most of the people that are in the East Coast, they're like reincarnated aspects of Atlantis. The ones on the West Coast are reincarnated aspects of Mu. Mu is a little
Hmm.
more friendlier and stuff. It used to go from California. LA used to be the city of angels where people walked with angels to Easter Island, clear to Australia. But when it went down, it shoved a wave up into Montana. That's why you see the shells and stuff in the mountains and stuff. But when it went down, it created havoc, volcanoes going off. 25,000 made it from there into Mount Shasta. And the planet went into 3 days, the darkness or whatever, and it was in dark, and not 3 days, it went to a long time of darkness. So that's why ice is over the Antarctica right now. Then you got the inner Earth hole that goes into the
Hmm.
inner Earth, and the inner Earth beings have they're more benevolent than the ones on the outside, but they're
Hmm.
still going through the process of ascension like Jesus did,
Yeah.
and some of them live for
Well,
100,000 years and such.
Well, I want to definitely at this point thank you for coming on here. I want to have you on for a while, and I again, there's so many things you've expressed and so many different timelines. There's like it could be separate different chapters to your own life, which I think is amazing. And I definitely want to thank you, man, for coming on here and being willing to share your story. I just picked you out of the blue moon, and that's what I do in my show. I'm very spontaneous. So thank you, man. I definitely want to thank you for coming up here for as long as you did.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking down the messages now. Very
Yeah,
interesting and amazing. Kept you
yeah.
listening. Thank you for your sharing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, they call them.
We'll have to do another show because
Yeah,
you have so
I'm
much, and
considered.
I have to absorb all your information. There's so many different levels from you, and like you're like a computerized human being that has all these different things going through your consciousness, and I try to pull little things out of each sentence that you said. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach ChatGPT and all those the stuff, but ChatGPT puts some stuff out, but it still doesn't get it quite right.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's yeah,
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 we'll have
I
you on
don't.
again. I appreciate it. You really made people think about different things, and I would chime in on things because certain things for me, it's like my contact is very different. I see, and my only last comment about Jesus is that Jesus is definitely overseeing your comment about where he is now. That would be true. He actually oversees the whole galactic forces of light on every aspect of that. He really is the
Well,
overseer of that. I'll
the
get
Galactic Federation, I mean, some of those have just been a Galactic Federation of Light are fallen beings. Toth joined
Well,
up with them.
that's not what I'm referring to. I work with the Ashtar Command, which are Christed beings of light. I
Well,
come
that
from
the
that realm.
Ashtar, I'm telling you right now, I know you're not going to like this, but the
I
Ashtar
know you're going to
Command is
say
part of
it.
the Galactic Federation, and they're
No, they
not good
aren't.
people.
I will disagree with
They
you.
have been
I will
Ashtar. I
I
mean,
will
I've been watching Ashtar Command manipulate humanity for 40 years now.
I will friendly in a friendly way. I like you and I like the discussion. That's the only thing. That's the only thing we're going to disagree with is
It
I work with
always
the
gets to this
Ashtar Command.
point.
It
Anyhow,
does, but it's
Jesus
okay.
tells me I have been visited by Jesus many times. He tells me a lot and asks. I
Yeah,
mean, there's the Guardians, which Lisa Renee and Ashiana Dean are
yeah,
working through. Those ones are good guys, pretty much. Those are collectives of beings that got
right,
together and trying to
right,
rebuild the grids. But the Ashkar man, they're working with a lot of
right.
people who are just they're fucking with people and they're
Okay,
just stringing them
I want to keep
along
the
so that we
language.
can
I have to
destroy
watch
the
the language
planet.
on here because it's TikTok.
Oh,
But we'll just, as a friendly
oh,
friend,
ye.
and we are friends, I'll respectfully just disagree with you about Ashtar. But that's it. That's all. All right, brother. I appreciate you coming on here. I thank you,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. All right,
Ashtar
thanks.
Command is destroying this planet. Ashtar Command is destroying
I
this planet. Have a
no,
good day.
I will respectfully disagree, but I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah. Well, everybody, you know.
Okay, so we just a respectful disagreement, you know, but that's not right. That's not true. You know, the Ashtar Command is not destroying this planet. You know, that's not happening. We had a discussion, and I think we kept it pretty civil. But I just, from my perspective, I've been working with the Ashtar levels for many years. The Ashtar Command is not destroying this planet. It's the the ones that were trying to destroy this planet were the reptilians that have been here for billions of years. They're the ones who tried. And you know, talking about destroying this planet, the people that run these countries that have militaries and have nuclear weapons, our own Earth-based governments have been trying to destroy this planet with, from my perspective, but the Ashtar Command is not destroying anything. Just want people to know. The Ashtar Command, and I've been with them for years, is not destroying this planet. Not happening. Hey, Julian, you know better. Julian, you know better. I have no ego. But the fact is that the Ashtar Command is positive. You know that, you know? Yeah, so anyway, there you go. That's true. So, you know, but it was a good discussion. It was, you know, something, you know, the part of Ashtar that I know is not a destroyer of the planet, you know, um, just not. You know, if these pictures, where's my picture of Ashtar here? And even let's see here. How come I never showed this picture? Oh, here's a beautiful picture here. So I have a picture here, and I didn't even show it last night, but I've got these pictures of some of the things here. Anyway, in terms of Ashtar, yeah, there's no way that Ashtar is that way, you know. When you deal with the cosmic spiritual levels of light, it has nothing to do with earth-based parables of religion. It has to do, there is that, but I've never seen it in the Ashtar Command. Maybe in the galactic things that I've probably, there's certain galactic supposable groups I've heard about on Facebook for years, and but like anything else on Earth, we have good people and we have people that are not good. We have people that create nuclear bombs and people that create peace. Um, yeah, it's a 3D construct, right? That's right. Yeah, well, that is kind of interesting, isn't it? You know, it was overall a very interesting discussion. It wasn't like I'd had no idea where it was going, you know, but I can tell you, forces of light, Christed beings of light, are not here to destroy planet Earth. You know, I've been on this trip too many years. You know, it's like if I was a new person, I'd say, oh, they are going to destroy the Earth. They're really not good. And he did jump around a lot. I tried to get focus on one area. I couldn't get focused. You know, I tried to pull out one sentence area that it was going all over the place for me. You know, so it was, yeah, John, I agree with that. Yeah, more like a lecture. Miguel, I think they will. Miguel, good to see you here. You bet. Yeah, there was some confusion. Yeah, he might have been Brim, but I think he was off a little bit when he started saying in general Ashtar Command, because I think he was talking about the Ashtar Command as a Christed whole. Um, yeah, that's what I kind of thought was going on there. It was a little bit Maru confusing. It was interesting and confusing. You know, the kids he talked about that were telepathic, that can read his mind. I thought we were getting into some really good stuff there, and then we go into the religious things, which I try to stay away from. Um, yeah, thank you, Mystic. I spent a lot of years interviewing people in media, so thank God I have my background in media, and I know how to interview people. Okay, so Ashtar, let me explain. Since he's asking, I'll speak from my perspective with Ashtar. Ashtar is a being of light. He works in this sector of the universe. He has a command of many ships, and he's only one part of the Ashtar command. His name is Ashtar. Believe it or not, Ashtar is a person. There's an Ashtar, command, and then there are many different levels and what I call councils of light within the Ashtar command. All these other things, these different galactic forces, they are somewhat of a diversion from the actual whole. Now, there are galactic forces that are negative that people talk about, but the Astral Command itself as a whole is a Christed force of light. So, for example, I'm going to read something here. I've got lots of information in my library here, see? That's the one thing people don't know. So here is something that we used to bring to the workshops. And now this is from Tuella, who was connected with the Astral Command. She's not around anymore. I'm a guardian of the light. I am love in action here. Cooperating with the Ashtar Command, I am dedicated to the kingdom of God on earth, interplanetary fellowship, and universal peace. Interplanetary fellowship and universal peace. What does that mean? Interplanetary fellowship, universal peace. It's all about love. The planets where the beings of light come from within the Ashtar Command are many planets. So they come from frequencies of love. I'm sure back in the early days, in their inceptions of reality, they went through what we went through. I'm absolutely certain of it. But they're way more farther advanced because they've been around for billions of years. They've already been through it. We are a planet of people that are going through a great transformation, right? And it could be somewhat confusing and mixed up, and we don't know, but we're going to get there, aren't we? With all this stuff going on, with all the earth changes and everything, we're going to get there. All of us are, you know. So one thing I do know is that as a positive thinking person with positive energy, if we keep positive in our energy, we're going to keep going forward and forward and forward as people, men and women, human beings, whatever. We're going to get there, you know. Yeah, it's just something. It's just something I have to realize. If we stay centered as human beings, and many of you here, all of you here, Brim, everybody here, you're way ahead of a lot of billions of human beings here. You are consciously, spiritually awakened, right? And so you have an idea of what things are, you know. But Ashtar, I've never ever in my life, when I've studied the galactic levels, have ever seen Ashtar as being anything, the command itself as being anything but love. Now, there are other galactic forces that do exist that I would say are not what they say if you study galactic history. But Ashtar command, I would eat a whole pizza, and I would say I would eat a whole pizza and say Ashtar command is definitely all love. I'd actually eat two whole pizzas. You know, I don't know why you would say that. I've never met anyone in my life, in my workshops I've done, in the places I've been to, when I get to spiritual gatherings, there's not one person that looks at Ashtar Command as being the forces destroying Earth. That's the one thing I disagree with. The Ashtar Command is not, if the Ashtar Command ever lands their ships here in mass on our planet, and that happens, do you really think that the Ashtar Command's going to come up? I'll bring Prim up. He wants to kind of give a little bit here. And again, I want to stay away from religion on the show here. I've known Brim for a long time, so I know Brim as a brother, and we'll let him come up. But I just want to say this: I just don't see Ashtar as that. If Ashtar Command wants to come here from other planets and take over the Earth, I just don't see that happening. If that's happening, it's happening on another timeline. Hey, Brim, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. I'm going to explain this Ashtar thing because I've seen both sides of it. Okay. The Ashtar command that's in this universe is one is like love and light and all that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that he's talking about are from another reality. They're an interdimensional militant group, and they're tainted by reptilians, and they're over here messing around. And that's what it is. That's who they are. You see what I'm saying? There's two factions of it.
Well, could they be? But Brim, could they not be Ashtar Command, but saying they are?
My beings even told me. My beings told me to stay the hell out away from them. That's what I'm saying. So, I don't have anything with the ones with the light.
Right. But you know what? They could be saying there's something that they're not. You know, if somebody wants to be an imposter to get into the White House, so let's say I want to say I'm supposed to see the president. I'm from the so-and-so agency, but I'm not from the so-and-so agency. But I say I have all the credentials to get in. So what I'm trying to say is they could be what you call false identity, and they're not Ashtar Command at all. They're just negative beings that are using that name to confuse people.
They're negative, and see, when I've been up there a long time, and I've been there many, many times, and I know they're interdimensional. They came from another dimension, another reality. So they're not the same as the ones here, because I know this, and you're probably not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I can't help it. When I seen you on the ship, you were on the one of light. When somebody else went on the ship, they were on the other one. That's what I see. I got in trouble for by my people. They yelled at me because I was on that ship.
But again, it goes down to our perceptions of reality. So when we look at the whole subject, it's a perception of reality. So you could be seeing a different timeline with something like that happen, and those other people could be in a good place on another timeline, but you're tuned into a different timeline, and you could be tuned into a different timeline, which would happen to all of us, right? We can go to any timeline we want when we're even sleeping or what have you. So I think everything changes. There's nothing that's, what do you call it, stagnant. We're not stagnant consciousness. So what you saw there could be from a whole different time period, right? And so we have to look at that and say, wait a minute, if this person was that timeline, it doesn't mean on Earth they're in that timeline. They might be actually in that good timeline, but we're looking at it at a different timeline in history, galactically speaking, and you might be picking up on that. So what are you going to do, right?
Right. I've been talking to these archons for the last 5-6 days. They're driving me batshit crazy.
And can you explain who the archon? I can't even pronounce the word. The archons are to people in my audience.
I've seen many beings, and I've been all over the place, in spirituality and visions, quests, and meditations, and all this stuff. I came across, and I don't know where they came from or how they even showed up. I went to sleep one day. Next thing I know, I'm standing in front of 4 beings that are about 12 feet tall, and they were huge. They were golden and white, and they go, "We are the archons." I go, "Why?" And when I'm saying it, I'm getting shivers up on my spine.
What happened, Brim? Where were they from? Why did they come to visit you when you had this happen? Can you explain that to the audience?
I honestly don't know where they came from. They said they were an ancient race. And they came here to talk to me about creation. They talked about creation, and one was talking about history of the world. The other one was talking about the 4 pillars of life, another 4 pillars of the galaxy, and the 4 pillars of creation.
Now, did they
That's
continually come? Did they continually come back to you, or did they only come back a few times? What happened?
they asked me if they can come back.
What'd you say?
I said, yeah, because I want to learn more information. I want to know where they're coming from.
Hmm. And
And they
Mistress is
told
asking, what did they say about creation on Earth? Did they tell you from their perspective what that is?
they told me the Earth was and I asked them. I said, why did you come here, and why are you telling me this? And they said, well, you need to know because something's a big shift and something's going to happen soon. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so
Hmm.
what does that have to do with me? And I go, well, and they said something. I can't repeat what they said
No,
because
don't
I
repeat
just can't.
it. Don't
On
do it.
that, but they said to me that some things that I can't say and some things I can. When you talk about the creation, though, they said that the Earth was reset 9 times. The last three were the most important. 7 times, okay, the last 7 times of humanity, okay, the last 7 times Earth was reset, it had humans on it. There was three
Hmm.
times that the Earth was reset without humans because the animals were not where they were supposed to be. They weren't ready yet. So they
Hmm.
reset the planet 3 times, and then they let humans. And they said that the reason why they reset the Earth, it wasn't to hurt humanity. It was
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
didn't want to have humanity have, say, a nuclear weapon
Right.
being like a
Nuclear weapon,
child.
nuclear war. Yeah. Destroy our
They didn't
planet.
want us to be overpowered because they said humanity had taken over most of the universe. Humanity is the ancient race. That's why we're so watched all the time. We are the ancient race. We have been everywhere. Humans rule the universe, basically. And if you notice, all of the other beings came from humanity. They all kind of resemble humanity. That's because we evolved on different planets. And the
Yeah,
reason
we all
why
came.
humanity
Hence the word brim starseed, which is not an uncommon word to use, and it's not used in a general sense that I know you're a starseed because I've known you for a long time. So there, and many people in our audience on my encounter show have been on here are starseed. So we all come from other planets that were, in a sense, human. Might look a little bit different. We might look blue if we're, we might be a Lyran, we might be a Palladian, Andromedan, or whatever. We all come from planets that have a similarity to a human experience, correct?
right. They were, yeah, like this person said. I've heard that aliens were, yeah, they were derived from us because when we were like the top food on the food chain, and we went bad. Humanity
Mm-hmm.
went bad, and in order for them to gain control of the universe, they had to eliminate a billions and trillions of us. And the Nibiru had a group of us because they didn't want to make the cardinal law is you're not to extinct an entire race. You can't extinguish an entire group of beings. And so, in order, they didn't want to eliminate us completely because that breaks the rule of the creator. So, what they did is they put us on the planet to give us another chance. And they keep giving us chances. And this time, we are now ascending into the right place in what we're doing.
Right. And that's why on my show, and you've known my show and been on it before, I'm very steadfast and very strong in my spirit, and in my knowledge is that we are going to, and even like I listen to things, very few things I listen to. I mean, Bashar Daralanka, who I would a great deal of respect for, he'd been doing his path before there was any internet or Facebook for years. He's the brother of Daralanka, the singer. Um, so as we look at all these beautiful things, we've been through a lot, and also people need to understand too. There are parallel planetary systems. What do I mean by that? So the Earth that if we were not going to ascend into a higher state of consciousness, this planet would not be here. Brim and I wouldn't be talking, and I wouldn't be doing a show. Because we are still here, we went through the Cold War. I grew up through the Cold War, and the nuclear weapons were neutralized by the space people, which were the Ashtar Command that did that, and the space beings of light. So when we look at the historical aspects of this Earth is going to be going into, and I started off the show, we were discussing this in my dinner tonight. about, I don't know how we got into it, the 3 days of darkness. And when I discussed it here, and I want folks to know my perception of my theory of 3 days of darkness from a galactic perspective is that we're not going to be hiding under a cave or something, but that we are going to be having 3 days where we will be on this planet, potentially taken off the planet. And this is a theory, again, for entertainment purposes only. And in order for the planet to be cleansed, we have to be taken off temporarily. It could be for whatever, however that works. This is my theory, that we are taken off and then we're brought back. When we come back, the planet is pristine, clean, and completely void of negativity. Again, this
They
is
said
only a
it's called the
theory.
cleansing. We've
It's
been
like
rebooted in this
right, but this is good.
iteration.
But in order for us to be completely on a planet of positivity, this is my theory that's what I think will happen. Now I'm open to other theories. This is only one of many theories. I'm sure people have their own.
Well, let me get to the reboot. We've been rebooted within this generation that we're out. This iteration of what we are now. We've been rebooted. Not completely reset. We've been rebooted. That's totally different. We've been rebooted at the Tower of Babel, and we were rebooted somewhere in the Dark Ages. And why is it that we had technology in Egypt, where technology and all this technology was in Egypt, but then we had no candles, no lights, no nothing, and then in the last 200 years, we're gaining technology again. That was because we were
Right.
rebooted. The reason why we were rebooted was for us to slow down in our technology so we can raise our vibration and become more smarter and not be superheroes and come off the planet being superheroes and psychopaths.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah, we
destroy
don't
the
want to be
universe.
that. Right.
No.
That's right.
So that's why
Yeah.
they slowed us down so we can learn.
Mm.
Yeah, the Ice Age and the Flood, yes. Those were other
Yeah.
reboots.
And we are getting there. I mean, look at it. We
Yeah,
are
we are.
actually, one thing that people have to realize, and the thing that makes us stronger, is to stay focused. I don't care about people's jealousies or whatever they are doing out there. I'm so laser focused on, waking the planet up, busting the matrix, and getting people to understand, having these interviews and discussions, because these are the things that make us think about life and think about who we are and what we're doing. And we're in a time period now that I never thought we'd get to, but we really are in a time period where we have to make a decision as human beings. Are we going to be light, or are we going to be negative, or are we going to, what are we going to be? So people have a choice to make, because let me tell you, the time is coming soon where things are going to hit the fan, and either you're going to be focused on your spiritual journey, or you're going to be diverted by yelling at other people and having arguments, and that takes away all the energy from what you want to do on Earth, which is be enlightened and be understanding of what is happening to our planet, because there's a lot going on right now, and we have to be prepared for it. The reason why people are seeing so many spaceships, I don't even call them UFOs, different types of orbs and spaceships, is because the space people are preparing us, I believe, for contact on a massive scale. I can't predict when it is. Brim won't be able to. Nobody will. They don't operate in time and space. So when they decide to do it, they're going to just, in a blink of an eye, we'll open our eyes, and there they are. That's the way it's
I'm
going to
gonna
be.
answer. I'm gonna answer this question right here, Tammy, because I don't think anyone knows all of the answers. That's true. That's why we have to work as a collective. We have to work as one. We have to quit the separation.
Yeah.
Love each other for humans. We don't have to love. We have to have that unconditional and universal love. We don't have to have this hating on going on. There's no need for all that. We came here as a spiritual being to live on a planet that has a separation from male and female masculinities and other separation. That's because that's when we came into this earth. We came here to learn. And when we learn and grow, we become one, and we work together as one. When we work together as one, we will find the answers. We are only a fraction of the great puzzle of the universe. When we connect to other star seeds and other people in this collective, we begin to put the pieces together. That is what we're here for, to put the pieces together, to work together, to be one.
And we do have energies, and I know this from my own experiences recently, that are here to divert humans from staying focused on what is important. And what's important is that we do stay focused on our meditations, on growing within, and realize that as we stay focused in our own light, we will learn, we will expand our consciousness, and we will get there to where we need to be. Because right now, I'll say it as I always say, busting the matrix, is that we're here to bust the limitations of consciousness. That means whatever it takes, discussions like this, whatever it takes, we are here to be love. If we are not operating in unconditional love, if we're not being Christ conscious, and believe me, I can read energies. If people aren't being that way on the street, I will read the energies. Even if I don't talk to them, I can be walking down the street somewhere and I'll say, oh, I mean, that's just not happening. So you'll know if you're fully awakened, you'll know when you see people,
Even
do you want to hang around with 10 people in the bar who are negative and ready to go at it? Or do you want to be in a restaurant with 10 other people that are happy, smiling, and having conversation? I'd rather be in the
And here's
restaurant.
another thing too. People are down here and they do evil things, even though they don't want to. They come down here, they have to serve a purpose. They come down here being evil. And the reason why they become evil down here, and the reason why, is if we didn't have any evil in the world, we would never learn. We have to learn. That is them teaching us. Sometimes they come down here, they don't want to do it, but they do it. Why? They're sacrificing that so they can come down here to help every single one of us.
Well,
That
the
is
other
why
thing
we're
is,
there.
that's one perspective, which is throw it out there, and that's fine. But I think that, like I said, planets that are billions of years old before us that are very advanced and at peace, I'm pretty sure most of those planets that come in peace and that are advanced, I don't think the planet was meant to be having people come to here for evil to teach us something. I think there are people that lowered their vibrational levels, however that happened, and they were here to create conflict, which is different. And I think that what we're doing is going into a situation now where we're reversing that energy. The vibrational energy of the planet is going higher, higher, higher. Because, and again, there are people on the planet. If you watch the news, there are people. There's wars in Gaza. There is what I consider negative energy that is doing things that I don't agree with, of killing men, women, and children and babies. I never agree with any of that, and I don't care what part of the planet it is. People need to be respected on this planet, and people need to love, nurture, and just love each other as human beings. And the
Right.
ones that are evil are the ones that are in power, and they use certain people to do their evil deeds. So when we live on this planet, and right now, from a galactic perspective, we have to promote the very positive aspects and not talk about, we can say yeah, we see evil people doing evil things to people. That has to stop. We're here to provide light and love. And if we can promote
Right.
light and love, that is the most important aspect of who we are. And this is the very thing that I try to stress to people on my show here. At the end of the day, no matter what sighting you have, no matter what spaceship lands, no matter what, no matter what space being visits you, you're the one that has to transfer your consciousness to that higher state of love. And if we don't do it, people will go where they're supposed to go. Like I say, there's a parallel Earth, there's a parallel planet for every single civilization. We will choose where we go depending on our vibrational frequencies. If we go and start beating up everybody, you're going to go to a planet that's like Earth, that is a place where you work out your karma. If we are a planet where we're a group of people that want to be very loving and live in peace, we're going to be on a planet that is operating in that Christ consciousness. And I do believe this planet, with all the messes that are right here going on, we will have, when I talk to 3 days of darkness, now I don't know if that's going to happen either, but I throw out the subject earlier. I think that we are going to, if we do have 3 days of darkness, from a cosmic spiritual perspective, we're going to be thrown into a new planet Earth, that we're not going to another planet. The new Earth is going to be the Earth that we now see as being all messed up. That Earth, in my theory, is going to be the Earth we're going to live on.
See, I think there's a different perception of that, honestly. When you talk about
There
the 3
is.
days of darkness, people are going to think that the whole world's going to be completely dark with this and this and that.
Right. Right.
I don't see that. You know what I see?
Mm-hmm.
The 3 days of darkness, and this is what I've been seeing every time I hear it. It's 3 days of darkness. The 3 days of darkness is when the evil reigns for 3 days, where they have full control, and that's where they're going to try to lower the frequency. You're not just going to have a complete, like, oh, world, no sun, darkness, no electricity. That's not
Right.
what I'm talking about. When you're talking about the 3 days of darkness, is when you got all, like, when the evil is taking complete control of the planet for 3 days. That's why they
Right.
say don't leave the house.
Right, and that's right, and that's what we were talking about tonight. Believe it or not, Brim, we were talking about. I don't know how we got into it. The person I thought would never talk about it, she talked about it, and it precipitated a discussion. I had to explain to my daughter that I gave her the cosmic perception of 3 days of darkness, which is that the planet is going to be cleansed of all the negative things, and it's all semantics in the words we use, but
Right.
then once the planet is cleansed, we'll be able to now see the planet. My perception is that those here who are of the light, who are here of the pure light, will be taken on these ships that will bring people off the planet for whatever. I don't know how that works. I don't know because there's no time and space, but that will be taken off the planet, and then we'll all be brought back to a pristine Earth that we're never gonna, we'll never see the old Earth because the old Earth was all the messed up stuff. And this is only a theory, folks. It's for entertainment purposes only what Brim and I are discussing. But you can see, and it's fine to have many different perceptions of the 3 days. Brim's perception, mine, maybe yours is different. That's what we're having a discussion. No one, I don't have the sledgehammer on this. I won't. But it's just a matter of perception, what we think is going to happen. Now, there are people saying it's supposed to happen this year. I don't know if that's the case. We live day by day, all of us, right, Brim? We don't know what the morning's gonna. We don't know what's gonna happen when we get up in the morning, right? We don't.
Right.
Till we get up. So, hey, Brim, thanks for coming on here, man. I appreciate that.
You told me this a bunch of times.
Yeah. Say again.
Okay. I got one more thing. They said when people say they go up to space, okay, this is what I'm going to say, and I've experienced this. The human body, it doesn't matter. The human body cannot go into space. It's not made for space. When you go into space, your body transitions into light.
Right.
The human body is not made for space. So if you go up on a ship, and there's only a selective few races that can do that. They can take you inside an orb.
Right. The only way we can go into space
because you can't handle.
Right.
You can't handle it.
Yeah, the physical body can't handle it, but know about the Merkaba. The Merkaba state. When we go to sleep, we could in a Merkaba state we can handle it, but the physical body, you're right, we couldn't handle it. The Merkaba can. Yeah. All right, Brim. I want to thank you, man, for our lively discussion here tonight. All right.
Well, no problem.
All right, brother. Yeah.
I got my live tomorrow. My live is going to be tomorrow and Tuesday at my same bat time, 9:00.
9:00. I'll be awake if I can catch it. But all right, brother.
All right.
Take care. I'll bring you down.
Have a good one.
You too. All right. So, tonight's been a really interesting night of discussion, and wow, 109,000. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And the thing is that I told my daughter I was going to bring this up tonight on my show about the 3 days of darkness because we got into it. So I think I'll talk about that tonight. But I think that we're going into a situation, my perception of reality, and I don't know. I'm saying right now, I just don't know. I do believe that we will be, if there's this 3 day of darkness, that we will be lifted off the planet from my perception of reality, and that will be completely safe. All the animals and all the life forms will be taken off planet so that the planet can be cleansed. Again, this is simply my theory for entertainment purposes. This is only my theory. I can't prove anything. If someone says to me, prove it, I'm not going to prove anything. Anybody can have a theory. You might have a theory that's different than my theory, right? It's all good. It's just that we're living in a time period where so many things are changing that no one really knows the time or day of contact. But there's a lot of things putting out there all over the media, on social media, that tells us that we are going to have some sort of contact. And even the people that are former military people who are supposedly whistleblowers, they know something's going on. You know that something's going on. Everyone watching this show knows that something is getting ready to happen. And the timeline of this happening, some people say it's this year. I have people coming. I'm not saying this year or not this year, but a lot of people tell me 2025. Other people tell me 2026. Other people tell me 2027. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just going with the flow of each day. I'm here to wake up and breathe and walk outside into the beautiful day. And, if it happens the day I walk outside, I'm right there ready for it. If it happens, 5 months from now, I'm ready for it. If it happens next year sometime, I'm ready for it. Why? Because I've been preparing myself for contact probably most of my adult life. I'm prepared for it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not going to be hiding in my house when the contact thing happens. However that works. What am I going to be afraid of? If we're supposed to have it happen, we're supposed to have it happen. Thank you. And we can only speculate a little bit more. We all feel it in our bones. I think all of you feel on some level that there's going to be contact. I mean, how could there not be? We're at sort of a pivotal moment of time in our time here. Thank you, Jersey for Life. We're in a very interesting time frame. And thank you, Spirit. Thank you. I mean, I just really think every day that it goes by, as we're more into 2025, I feel I've learned a lot more from people, from myself in meditation. I think we're really coming close. I don't know what that means, because when you say we're coming close, some say, what do you mean by we're coming close? What day is that? Hey, thank you, Kid Kat. I just don't know. I'm a human being too. I don't know the day or time of this contact. But it seems to be the time frame from loads of people around the planet. They think it's 2025, 26, 27. I think we're going to be having it soon. Every day. My consciousness, sometimes when I'm working, I have to stay focused on this consciousness of work. But also, if I'm not working, my consciousness will drift into a cosmic consciousness state of thinking about the planet, universe, the space people. I think it's no one has the one specific date or time of anything with this thing, and that's the beautiful part of it. That everybody here at some point is having an experience of reality that is way different than the reality that we are now in the 3D and the 3D world we've experienced. I don't think we, in a sense, consciously are living in the 3D world. I don't think any of you are. Now, there might be other billions of people that are living still in a 3D consciousness. But you are the ones here, yeah, Tamara, no one knows. You're the ones here to help others. And whether you're on here on TikTok or, in a market and you see a few people and something strikes you to have a conversation with somebody, we're all here to help everybody, right? We're all here to enlighten each other. We're all here to bring a sense of love and light. If we're not operating in love and light, because I can read energy, if we're not, operating in unconditional love and light, then what are we doing here? What's the purpose? Why are we even here? But we're definitely here for some, and it's going to be a surprise. Nature's Whispers, you're right. It's going to be a surprise. That's the one thing we do know. Whenever the contact's going to happen, it will be a surprise. It definitely will be. And I got to say, I was without apple cider for a few days, but I'm back with a half a gallon of apple cider. I'm not drinking a half a gallon of apple cider, but hey, Vicky, good to see you. But I am drinking the apple cider. Oh, let's see here. I want to bring this person up here, if I can. Let's see. Can I bring you up? I'm trying to bring you up. I just sent a guest request to this person. Is it Sue's X or Sue SIOUIXKI? I just sent you a request. If you're able to come up with us. Yes, we're back in the cider, Mike Truth. I finally got it. I've been trying to get to the place where the cider is. Oh, it's your new private. Okay, very good, Relic. Now, good. Well, it's now after 1 a.m. I can't believe it, brothers and sisters. But I got to make sure I've got all the shows down. I think I'm down by maybe one show. I might be down. I've got one. This will now be the second show that needs to be downloaded overnight. So I'm going to have this downloaded. and I'm trying to make sure we're all caught up. You can watch all my shows for the last 3 years on Astronaut Command Spaceship News on TikTok, not on TikTok, on YouTube. Thank you so much. Have I been in contact? I think that's the question. Vicky, let me bring you up here. I like to be very spontaneous here. So we're going to bring Vicky up as a guest to the show here. And we're just having a great time with everybody. This is Encounters. If you're new to the show, please follow me. Please also like. We appreciate it. And I think we got Vicky coming up. Hey, Vicky, how are you?
I am good. Tired.
Oh,
How are
tired?
you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm doing good. After 1 o'clock, I'm way more amped up than I was last night. Last night, even though I was doing the show, I was a little bit tired. Tonight, I'm hoping I can go to sleep. So tell us a little about yourself. And you asked me, have I been in contact, correct?
You have been in contact?
When I was a kid. But
Yeah.
my contact, I don't recall having a physical contact in the same room. But when I was a kid in Long Island, where I lived for a brief time, I went upstairs. I'm making a long story short. Uh, my brother, my mother, father, and I think my grandmother was still living with us. And I had this urge to go upstairs, and I lived in a cul-de-sac in a suburban neighborhood. I looked out. I went into my brother's room, opened the wood shades. So my contact, as far as I'm concerned, was not physically in the same room. They were on a spaceship hovering in a cul-de-sac of a court at night with a light, or I call it like a fog around it, or a light fog around the ship, and a flying saucer type craft. And that was my only memory of a physical contact without being in the same room. They were men and women. They were wearing light blue and golden type gold lined outfits, and they were human, like just like we were. They were telepathic. That's the only thing I ever remembered all my life. That was the only. Now, if I had any other things happen, I don't remember anything. That was the only time I was consciously visually able to communicate with them, and it was through telepathy.
So you don't remember anything in your adult age?
In my adult life, no. I've always had a problem. I mean, I do have times when I remember traveling out of body, but for whatever reason, I'm more telepathic than I am visual. So I thank God for the telepathy, but I myself have a problem with the visual. Now, I might go off planet and travel somewhere, but I don't remember a lot of times, which is okay. Other people do, but I go with that for now until I get to that point where I can remember where I'm going sometimes. I'm
Well,
very telepathic though.
yeah, you have to be you have to go at your own pace. Not
Right,
everybody
that's right.
not everybody is at the same level of frequency, you know?
Yeah.
Um
How about
yeah.
you? Have you
You
had
want to
any
know if I've been in contact? I've been in contact all my life.
interesting?
But not
Tell me about your
physically.
contact.
Well,
Not
I
physically.
guess you can
Yeah.
say it's physically because I died when I was 5, and
Hmm.
uh, one of them saved me. Um,
Hmm.
I drowned.
Oh my God.
But the last few years I know they've always been around me, all my guides, my angels, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But the last few years, I have been in communication with the ET family and those up there. But I mean, we all have it at our own experiences, right? It's not,
Yeah.
yeah. See,
Can you tell me about your ET family? Who are they specifically? Can you give us some just for my audience education wise?
um, well, I am mostly Lyran. I am
Mm-hmm.
Andromedian and Syrian.
Syrian.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Do you
I have,
travel?
I
Do you travel
travel
off planet?
by sleep.
Mhm. Can you tell us about some of your experiences traveling? Um, you travel in the sleep state, right? Off planet into the Merkaba
Yes,
state?
around
Okay.
the astral realms.
Asteroids. And when you travel to those planets, which I call the cosmic reality, what have you seen in your travels? Can you explain?
I remember my past lives, some of them.
Okay.
So I have remembered
Mm.
being on Meldeck.
Hmm.
I remember being a mermaid in a different realm.
Oh, interesting.
I was a Syrian in another planet. Um, Lyran in another planet. But
Hmm.
I remember some of my past lives on
Oh,
on
good.
this earth, but different realms.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. So, what's one of your favorite things when you've traveled to some of these other planets? Can you express what some of these planets are like when you go there in the Merkaba state?
Well, the Maldak one was a war zone, so
Hmm. Yeah.
I was one of the soldiers.
Hmm.
Um, so the one of the other planets were it was very beautiful, very peaceful there.
Hmm.
Lots of water and dolphins, we all lived together.
Mm.
And it was very, very beautiful,
Oh, wow.
you know, there.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it. I'm familiar with Maldak, which was a planet that was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Um, so do you find yourself regularly going in the Merkaba state? Does that feel natural to you? And how many years have you been traveling in that Merkaba state, which is a reality, which is basically like you create a little like a human spaceship that you go out of your physical body, you can travel to your planet A, B, C, or D if you wish to, correct?
Actually, I don't need a spaceship. I
How do you
just
do
travel.
this?
I just go. I just like I fly.
You just fly. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Interesting.
yeah, it's not like for someone to understand it, they have to go through it,
Right.
these
That's
things,
right.
right? But yeah, it's just natural for me to do these things.
Mm.
I don't even think about it. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
think twice about it. I used to
Mm.
think people were like me growing
Mm-hmm.
up, but then I got to realize they weren't. And so I had to withdraw myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. You definitely have a connect. You're definitely, as James Rockefeller is saying, you have like a cord, like a natural cord. You can go anywhere you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
still have to believe 100% in myself.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well, if
people have
it
that problem.
yeah, if you don't believe 100% yourself, that can
Mhm.
cast doubt in what you are able to do. Correct?
Yes, exactly. You won't be your
Yeah.
full potential, right?
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that. Absolutely. Wow. So for me, the things I'm able to do, I've been given over the years. I've always had the abilities when I was a kid, but I never believed in it because I didn't know what it was. I knew that I had abilities to do things, but I never tried to do them because I was trying to live a normal kid's life growing up as a kid. I said, no, this is not real. I can't do this. But as I got older, I started to realize that I can do this. That's because I started thinking out of the box, and because of all the sightings I had of the
mhm.
spaceships and the two big ships I had in 1980s, that blew my mind. And when I saw all those things happen, I said, you know, as much as I want to have a normal life, I don't want to have a normal life anymore because I've been too influenced by the things in the sky that I see that are not of this world. And when I look at those things, I realize that, maybe there's another purpose. And so through my life history, I met people like Ashtar Athena. She wrote she's a world traveler, well known, and she works at Ashtar Command. She had physically Ashtar and all these other space beings visit her when she was staying here at my house once, many years ago. And they said, oh, Ashtar and a few of the others were in their bedroom, communicating with me, and we were all sleeping, and they would come right into the house here, and then they would leave, and so that's how I got connected with knowing more about the galactic forces of light, was through my friend Ashtar Athena, who's an amazing person. She was one of the early contactees of the 1960s, and she's still here. She's in her 70s, probably late 70s now. But yeah, it's an interesting world we live in, right? It's an interesting time that we live in, and we're definitely not in the same time frame that we were 20, 30, 40 years ago.
No, that's absolutely true. Like 20, 40 years ago, it's um like a big, big, big shift
Yeah,
happened, you know?
yeah.
And we are doing so many things, I have abilities that I did things when I was growing up,
Mm,
but I knew I could do it and I did it, but I didn't realize what I was capable of, you know. I
yeah.
When I was 18, my dad was sick across the world, halfway across the world,
Hmm.
and I healed him. I didn't realize that I was doing it, but I did it, and
Wait a minute. So
he could have died.
you healed him?
Yes, he could have died.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I didn't realize until you think back. Oh, I knew I could do that, like it just happened. It just came natural to me.
Hmm. Someone's asking me, beep bop boop boo beep. I like that name. She's asking, where did Ashtar come from? So I can answer that question. Ashtar Command came from way beyond our universe. They came from the highest levels of light, the highest dimensions of light. They came from the Christ conscious levels of light. So that's where they reside. The Ashtar Command itself resides in what they call a Christed vibrational frequency beep. Beep, bop, boo, beep. Say that 5 times. But that's what, just to answer that person's question, that's where they come from. They come from the Christed levels of light. Hopefully that kind of answers the question. Um, but that's great that you were able to heal him. Um, and can you explain how you did the healing for people that are listening to our interview here?
Well, at the time, I didn't know about like the abilities
Hmm.
I had. I just knew when it was happening. I just
You knew.
I prayed. I At that time I believed a God was up there, not the
Mm.
universe. The
Hmm.
universe is what we believe in now. We know that's the universe.
Hmm.
But I prayed to the universe to make him better and bring his sickness onto me.
Yeah.
And I did that. I brought it onto me
And when you
because
did that, can you explain what that was like?
um well, soon after I did that, about a month later, a month later, I took in sick.
Hmm.
And I was sick for about a month after I took in sick. And I could have died. I had an
Hmm.
abscess in my throat
Oh my gosh.
and I had pneumonia. And the abscess, my throat was big and there's
Hmm.
a scar there from it. So my grandmother was taking care of me for 2 weeks before that, before I went into the hospital. They came home and found me collapsed on the floor, so they had to take me to the hospital. And I was
Hmm.
there. I was out of it for 1 week. And the second week I was there, I started to wake up. So, yeah, the
Hmm.
abscess burst outside my throat, or else they would have had to go in.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
you've come out of that whole situation, and you're very strong in your spiritual cosmic connections. So that's really good, you know.
Yeah, I think I am. I communicate with uh, all the spirit world every
Mm.
single day.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, And I give gratitude every day. You give gratitude. You know your
Gratitude
brain.
is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gratitude's important, right?
yeah.
Speaking of gratitude, we're at 130,500. Thank you, everybody. We're all also at 1:22 a.m. in the morning. So, Vicky, I don't want to cut you off, but I think I need to go off planet myself.
Yeah, I need to go to bed too.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate all the guests tonight. We had a great, lively discussion. I just appreciate everybody. I love everybody here, and that's always how I end my show, with love. And I hope everyone will love each other. I always remember, at the end of the day, it's our unconditional love. It's the Christ consciousness and the love that will get us through these changing times that we're in on our planet Earth right now. And we're here to, even though we don't want to be here in some cases, we decided to volunteer to come to Earth, and we're here, so we are going to experience it all. So, Vicky, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love all of you out there. I want to thank all my guests, and thanks so much for sharing your experiences.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We're going to bring Vicky down. Thank you, everybody out there. We appreciate all of you. We'll be on tomorrow night. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night. The beautiful part of this show is, folks, you will expect the unexpected, because you never know what I'm going to do here. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to come on here. And that's the way we love it, because we can go right into left field and something weird happens, Everybody sleep well. Tomorrow's Tuesday. We got through Monday. We have a few more days until the weekend. Roxy, a brother, good to see you. Hope you do well. You're doing well. Maru, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Lynn, everybody. Brim, everybody out there. You all have a good night. Think positive. Go to sleep with positive consciousness. And we'll all see each other. And James, thank you, James, for being here, brother. James is another person you want to check out when he's on during the day on here. I sometimes, in my break, sneak in and get to relax and listen to James. So everyone, have a great night. We love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow night. All right, take care. Thank you for the roses, James, too.